Hey guys, it's King. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview, where today we have two extremely talented neurodivergent filmmakers. One is the CEO of Pink Poodle Productions, and the other is a well-respected screenwriter in Hollywood. They are Marlene Sharp and Rob Kutner. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks for
All
having us, Caden.
right, my first question for you guys is, for those that don't know you, do you mind telling a bit of your story in your own words?
Marlene?
You want me to tell Rob's story and Rob can tell my
No!
story? Does that mean you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, I'm Marlene Sharp, and guess what? We have a bonus guest today. It's Blanche Dubois Sharp, my muse and chief canine officer of Pink Poodle Productions. So she's been a bit vocal this morning, so I'm just giving the disclaimer that she's present. So I'm Blanche's mom, as well as the head of Pink Poodle Productions, and I have a background in a lot of merchandise-driven entertainment. So some of the beloved nerd brands that you might know, such as Sonic the Hedgehog and Power Rangers and Pink Panther, Postman Pat, Yokai Watch, but bunches of a lot of Japanese intellectual properties. I've worked on the film and TV iterations of them. And I also have a background in acting and performing, and happy to be here and talking with Rob, who is my frequent collaborator and partner in lots of autism projects as well as others. So Rob, your turn.
All right, now I'm going to rebut what Marlene said.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. My name is Rob Kutner. I have a background primarily in late night TV comedy. So I wrote for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I wrote for two of Conan O'Brien's show, and I've been moving into animation a little bit. I've written episodes for Teen Titans Go and Ben 10 and Angry Birds. And a couple of books, including some books for a graphic novel for kids and some books recently for Marvel for Ant-Man and Deadpool. And as Marlene said, the two of us have been engaged in a lot of endeavors with our friends in the neurodivergent creative community for the past few years. And we have more in mind as well.
All of that sounds great. And I'm a sucker for comics myself. Especially Marvel, so I'm glad you got to work on those projects, which leads to my next question. How do you both think neurodiversity helps you when you're working on a movie or a TV show?
Rob, it's your turn to go first.
Well, I think we should just be really clear about this. I don't think that necessarily Marlene and I are, as far as we know, are not exactly neurodivergent. It's more that we have a lot of friends and allies in that community and work very closely and are big fans of our neurodivergent creative friends. So we're kind of in that world, but well, I am diagnosed ADHD, so I guess that gives me a certain amount of divergence, and that does help me a lot. I think it drives my wife crazy sometimes, but it enables me to multitask and keep a lot of projects going, and to really make creative and personal decisions in the moment because of the sort of the way that an ADHD brain works, and also really also hyper focus on things when I want to as well. But other than that, I don't necessarily know if I have a neurodivergent quality. Marlene, do you want to address things on your end?
Yes. So if you're thinking of neurodivergent as being a term that includes so many things like ADHD, also OCD, depression, anxiety, those things I qualify for. So that makes me neurodivergent if we're going to look at it from like a 30,000 foot view, I suppose. But as far as being on the autism spectrum, I don't know. I've never actually had a diagnosis, so I'm just and I'm blissful in my ignorance. I'm happy to identify when it suits me and others, and then at other times just fit in with neurotypical people. So I don't know if that helps you, Caden, but
It definitely does. It definitely does. And I agree, collaboration is the best way to have neurodiversity help you in any craft you do.
True,
Which leads
true.
to my next question. What are some of the biggest challenges you see in how neurodivergent characters are portrayed in film today, and how can creators move beyond stereotypes? We'll start with you, Rob.
I think that it's already getting better, but I think for a long time there was, I think, a very common sort of trope that was really applied to not just neurodivergent, but also, like, I think people with all kinds of disabilities, which is either they're the sort of Rain Man stereotype of they sort of have a magical ability, even though they don't sort of fit into the rest of the world. They have some kind of extra magical ability, sometimes called the savant quality, or uh, a neurodivergent character is just sort of played as sort of an object of, either pity, or all the story is really just about their condition and not really about them as a fully fledged character who has wants and needs and flaws and interests like anyone else. So the simple version is, I feel like characters in the spectrum are not often given full humanity, basically, as characters. And I think that's changing a lot. I think shows like Love on the Spectrum have made people think about it a lot differently, but it's still kind of a common reflex, I think, in the representation that I see.
I definitely agree. Marlene, what's your thought on this?
I haven't seen a lot of female representation on screen with neurodivergent or autistic characters. A little bit in children's properties like the Sesame Street character Julia, and that might be the only one that I can think of.
I was thinking of Extraordinary Attorney Woo,
Oh yes, of course, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. That's right.
which
The
I think is
best,
a bit of a Rain Man situation, from what I can tell.
but it's such a good show. It doesn't matter almost.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen more than one episode, so I'll take your word for it. So that's
Oh my
good. That's
gosh,
good to hear.
it's so fantastic. I wish that there were more representations like that. I mean, yes, she does have savant qualities. It's not perfect. The actress who plays Attorney Wu is not on the
Right.
spectrum, but
Spectrum.
she is
Right.
such a brilliant actress. And you know what? I would not even be surprised if she was on the spectrum but was never diagnosed, because she's just so embodies the role and everything. But yes, there is Extraordinary Attorney Woo from the K drama, and yeah, there are characters here and there, but it just, to me, being a girl and sensitive about those things, I see more white males represented when they're even represented. There's certainly not a lot of representation of autistic characters on screen, or in media in general, and hopefully that's changing, but there could be more.
I definitely feel, yeah, and I agree. We've come a long way since the 80s and the 90s, when the closest thing to a proper trope was the Rain Man movie, and maybe a couple of kids shows here and there where the characters were used for comic relief. But nonetheless, I absolutely agree. We could improve a lot more by having neurodivergent creators help with some of the scripts or serve as consultants, similar to what they do on Carl the Collector, that PBS show that's out right now. Which leads to my next question: What when you think of films or shows that have done a strong job representing neurodivergent people, what examples come to mind, and what made those portrayals effective? I know you mentioned Attorney Wu, but what else is there?
What else is there?
I actually think that it's interesting. It's a little bit of a weird answer, but I feel like young Sheldon and Big Bang Theory are very clearly coding that way, even though they don't ever actually say it. Like, the Sheldon Cooper character seems like clearly on the spectrum in some way, and is treated, I think, very lovingly and sympathetically. I think in the best way, in the sense that his point of view is is very well respected and taken seriously as just a different perspective on the world, which I think is the way. I think that's a fair way to treat anyone. It's just their perspective is taken seriously.
Exactly. Marlene, what hover suits come to mind?
I'm going to mention a show that I haven't actually seen, but it was just brought up to me this past weekend. So I was representing autism and entertainment at a conference called LDI, Live Design International. And one of my autism and entertainment colleagues said, "Oh, Marlene, you remind me of the character Elsbeth on the show Elsbeth." And I was like, "Okay, thanks. Could you tell me about this character?" And so Jonna, my colleague, was saying that she's an attorney, and I was like, "Oh, like Attorney Wu?" Because she said, "Well, she's low key on the spectrum, so it's never actually said in the show, but she's got all these quirky characteristics." So I don't know what to make of that. It's because my colleague was saying, "Oh, she reminds me of you, and she's on the autism spectrum, and she's kind of weird, and but she's nosy, so that does describe me." And she's like poking around at mysteries and things like that, and then she comes up with these crazy ideas about how to solve things. But my colleague Jonna, who I trust her judgment, she's very intelligent. She's an autism mom, and she's a retired Warner Brothers attorney. So she has excellent taste, and she was telling me about Elsbeth as like a viewing recommendation. She said that she loves the show. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that sounds like a positive representation of somebody who's on the spectrum. And also, it's a spin-off show of The Good Wife. And so this character Elsbeth was in The Good Wife, and so yay for whoever's decision that was to put this interesting character on the show. And I guess I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, indeed, those are excellent examples. One example that comes to mind to me personally, as controversial as it is The Good Doctor. I've watched a couple of clips on YouTube. And as controversial and stereotypical as the Sean Murphy character is, I relate to him in a couple of different ways. So, that's another example that instantly comes to mind when I think of representation, which leads to my next question, going into production for a little bit. On the production side, what accessibility gaps exist for neurodivergent professionals, from writers to actors to crew members, and how might the industry address them? We'll start with you, Rob.
I think that, do you mean in terms of all across production? I think that it sort of merges with disability larger, that there's a certain, I don't know if you'd say stigma, but a certain like fear or concern about them not fitting into a regular work environment, especially when there's productions are very team intensive and very fast, and very like you have to like really fit in really quickly. And so I think there's just a concern about like, are they gonna like make other people uncomfortable? Are they not gonna be able to do the work? A lot of it based on ignorance, I think, really. So autism and entertainment and some of the stuff we're doing is trying to sort of like bridge that gap. And people like Jorge Gutierrez are showing like how incredible neurodivergent people can contribute in unexpected, new, positive ways to work environments, to get around that.
I absolutely agree with that. Marlene, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I represent 12 actors on the spectrum for film and TV, and I've been involved in negotiating their contracts for different productions. And so usually I have to step in and ask for special accommodations, which, when I tell you what these special accommodations are, they should really just be common courtesy, and they should just come standard with just people who are working in any environment, but it becomes really critical to ask for them for folks on the spectrum, because if they don't have these things, it becomes really a crisis, more so than even with neurotypical people. But we're talking about stuff like having bathroom access when they need it, and we're talking about SAG, Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA productions, as well as non-union. You can't just rely on the fact that the rules will be followed. I've found it necessary to make these stipulations from the get-go and put them in the contract so that there's no dispute. But yeah, bathroom access, regular breaks for food, so snacks and stuff, because blood sugar can drop, and people get nervous on set, and so everything is escalated when you're performing. And so having a comfortable chair to sit in when you're not filming, and comfortable just meaning like not a broken chair, just like a functioning chair. And also to have a parent or guardian or caretaker on the set, just someone who will sit with the person who's on the spectrum and make sure that their needs are being met. So like an advocate type of thing. So those are really minor requests, and I haven't had any major pushback from any production companies, but it's always a wake up call when I ask for these things on behalf of clients, and it's like, oh, it's jarring to the. Usually, I'm dealing with an attorney or a production manager or producer, and it never even occurred to them that, like, oh, somebody would want to be close to a bathroom in case they need to use it. How shocking. So yeah, so I think there could be a lot of improvement in just human nature and looking out for your fellow people.
I absolutely agree. A bit of a story for you guys. I've done a lot of college short films for fun, mainly. And, well, to be fair, they're not huge Hollywood productions or independent films. They definitely could have been a bit more accommodating to me. One film specifically, who I won't name out of respect and common decency, was super empathetic. They let me have a 5-minute break, but what triggered a meltdown I had on that set was I wasn't allowed to improv anything since I was an extra. No, and I think adding on to that, if say an actor on a major film wants to improv something, like whether they're an extra run, they want to improv a little chuckle during a fight scene or something like that, let them improv. So I think creative freedom is a big thing to open. While the meltdown was minor and nothing escalated, I do feel like college productions could have the same standards as major Hollywood productions. And which leads to my final question. You've both collaborated with neurodivergent individuals before, and you still do all the time. How has collaborating with neurodivergent individuals influenced your own creative processes or the kinds of stories you want to tell?
Oh, that's a really good question. I never even thought about that before. Marlene, do you have an answer? Because I have to think about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to speak for both of us in that I think
yes, please do.
We try to incorporate more characters and more not just actors, but crew on projects, people who are on the spectrum. So just our awareness is heightened, and we know a lot more people. Like over the last 2 years, when Rob and I have been collaborating, we just meet more people and they're on our radar, and we're always thinking about ways to put them or involve them in different projects, sometimes paid, sometimes just collaborating. But but I think their talents and gifts are at the forefront of everything that we do, and so we're trying to make a difference, and we're leading by example. So hopefully, what we're doing is going out there into the universe and inspiring other people to do the same thing.
All right, now I have an answer. You bought me some time, Marlene. Thank you. I think that I don't want to stereotype, and of course I know that neurodivergence is a very wide spectrum, but like some of the quality, as I was saying earlier with Sheldon, I think that what I always try to bring to my writing is like new perspectives on the world and things. And one of the things I've appreciated about working with neurodivergent individuals is some things that I often find common are that neurodivergent individuals like have incredible passion and focus for things. They love the world to make sense. They get, the flip side is they get frustrated when things don't make sense, and our world is so messy and crazy. And so that sort of passion and that like desire to really make the world make more sense and work better. I think those are really important ways to look at things, and that's a perspective I admire, and I like to bring that into my characters, or I would like to, I think, in the future.
I definitely admire, and I'm sure the world you guys are doing now will definitely continue to make an impact. Anyways, that's going to do for this interview, guys. Thanks so much to Marlene and Rob for coming on and sharing their perspectives. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Pick up your November issue that looks something like this by going to autismdigest.com. And stay tuned for the audio file of this interview to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.